president of the African Export-Import Bank, Professor Benedit Oramah, says the time has come for Africa to strengthen its institutions to respond quickly and appropriately to emerging crises around the world. Speaking today in Cairo, Egypt, at the opening formalities of the three-day 2022 annual meetings of the Pan-African Trade Finance Organization, Oramah said COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukrainian war, while the Russian invasion of Ukraine, have shown why Africa needs its own mechanism to handle major crises. He also used his presentation to report on the progress made on the Afrexibank interventions in 2021, as well as the Intra-Africa Trade Project, the AFCFTA.
Your Excellencies, the ongoing Ukraine crisis presents new challenges to Africa. Difficulties in accessing grains, fertilizers, and petroleum products have led to galloping inflation in many of our countries, which we are just about to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Mindful that Africa's problems are for Africans to solve, Afrexibank has once again stepped in and put in place a $4 billion facility to enable African countries to respond to the Ukraine crisis. It is therefore evident that Afrexibank has become a vital instrument for crisis intervention. The successes of the interventions reminds us of the urgency not only to support our own institutions, but to make them stronger and more effective. With its limited resources, Afrexibank made a significant impact in helping Africa to contain the pandemic. A stronger Afrexibank, and indeed a stronger group of African development finance institutions, can be one of the solid pillars on which Africa's development can be built. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, looking ahead, we can no longer accept that after 60 years of independence, Africa remains weak and economically fragmented. Afrexibank is a firm believer that we can only begin to resolve these questions through aggressive pursuit of intra-African trade and supporting the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement implementation. And through our intra-African trade division, we have in the past 5 years disbursed over $20 billion in support of intra-African trade. And we plan to double this figure in the next 5 years, thanks to the capital increase that is in process. And thanks for the Egyptian shareholders for supporting that capital increase. And in doing these disbursements, we're also supporting African contractors to bid for African infrastructure-related projects. Over the last few years, 4 years or so, about $12 billion of such projects have been supported. Your Excellency, we are proud that the Egyptian contractors have been our strong partners in this effort, working with us to build critical infrastructure across Africa. For instance, we supported the largest intra-African EPC contract amounting to $2.9 billion for the development of the Rufiji Dam in Tanzania, that will produce over 2,000 megawatts of electricity. SWD and Arab contractors, both of Egypt, we are the main contractors. We are supporting Egyptian contractors building solar power plants in South Sudan and DRC, gas-fired power plants in Angola and Zambia, and other power, ports and road infrastructure projects elsewhere in Africa. We thank Hassam Alam, SWD Electric, Orascom Construction, Wadi Digla, Sandcrete, and other Egyptian contractors that we are working with in trying to deliver projects across Africa. Similar support have also gone to other contractors, including Water in Jail in Angola and some Burkinabe contractors doing road and other infrastructure projects in West Africa. Permit me to provide an update on some of the AFCFTA and continental integration initiatives that His Excellency President Al-Sisi mandated us to deliver during his AU chairmanship in 2019. I am pleased to report that we have now completed the pilot phase and launched the commercial operations of the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. 8 African central banks and over 45 commercial banks have joined the system, and quite a number are in the pipeline. So African currencies, we can now trade amongst ourselves using African currencies, thereby domesticating intra-African trade payments and potentially saving the continent over $5 billion in transfer charges when fully implemented. A major positive impact of this payment system will be a potential reduction in external debt incurred by African countries as they invest in infrastructure. With PAPS, that's the payment system, the Ugandan government I mentioned earlier can pay an Egyptian contractor in Ugandan shilling, and the Egyptian contractor will receive Egyptian pounds. Afrexibank will clear the payments, clear the transactions, and we are backing them with currently $500 million with plans to raise to $3 billion. Your Excellencies, we have also made progress regarding introducing a collaborative transit guarantee scheme. The bank has now been admitted as a regional transit guarantor in the commercial region and expects to soon expand coverage over the entire continent. We can now reasonably be confident that when the Cape to Cairo road, championed by you, Your Excellency, becomes effective, that the truck driver carrying goods from Cape to Cairo can only do so with one transit bond. It does not need to stop at every border. Our board has also approved a limit of $1 billion to make sure that this facility is effective and makes trade smooth and seamless. Mindful that it is access to information that will help bring down the borders that fragment the continent, we and the AFCFTA Secretariat have made significant progress towards implementing the digital AFCFTA project called the Africa Trade Gateway. This service complements the highly successful biennial inter-African trade fair launched here in Egypt in 2018 by Afrexibank, the African Union, and the AFCFTA Secretariat. We are providing trade confirmation lines and corresponding banking services to African banks to support intra and extra-African trade. So far, the bank has onboarded nearly 500 African banks and opened credit lines for 170 in 38 countries.